The Texas State Senate, controlled by Republicans, passed a bill that would allow the state to overturn election results in Harris County, home to, that's right, you guessed it, Houston, Texas. The measure would give Republican Governor Greg Abbott precedent-setting power to undo election results if the county runs out of paper at 2% or more of its polling sites for more than an hour. County officials would be penalized for running out of ballot paper at voting sites. Republicans claim the measure will ensure adequate ballot paper, while Democrats say it will allow the governor to reverse results. The bill now goes to the Republican-controlled Texas State House.
And joining us now to discuss this alarming Texas legislation and more is Jeffrey Boney, assistant editor of the Houston Forward Times and the mayor pro tem of St. Louis, Texas. We want to welcome you to Fox Soul's Black Report. Thanks for the time today.
No problem. Actually, it's Missouri City, Texas. That's all right. A lot of people get it confused.
All right. Well, we have the correction noted, myself and my producers. All righty. So what does Governor Abbott's bill to overturn elections mean for Black voters?
Absolutely. Well, first of all, I tell you, this is a very alarming bill. This is a response not only to what's going on in Harris County, which is heavily Democratic as far as its population and voting blocks. But at the end of the day, the 56% of the most elections show that it's strongly Democratic. It's going to probably continue that way. So this is an attempt to try to thwart the gains that have been made in Harris County and other counties that are democratically controlled across Texas. And so this would give, as it was stated earlier, unprecedented power to the governor to, all you have to have is a precinct chair or someone that is an election judge that may favor a particular party, such as the Republican Party, to say that they ran out of paper for the time frame that was indicated, or that is indicated in the bill, for the governor to just say, we have these allegations, just like the big lie that's been told and been pushed across the country from Donald J. Trump, the former president. So this is something that is very, very concerning to many Texans and many voters, particularly not just Democratic voters, but also Republican voters.
You recently wrote an article for the Forward Times entitled, "Are You Paying Attention? Legislative Bills That Could Harm or Help African Americans in Texas." Can you tell us a little bit about some of the lesser known bills? Obviously, this bill is getting a lot of attention, but what are some of the lesser known bills that may harm Black folks that our soulmates should know about?
Well, thank you for asking. One of the most important ones that I've been following and tracking and writing about several times this year since the beginning of the year is SB 23, Senate Bill 23, which is referred to as the creating a mandatory 10-year prison sentence for criminals committing gun crime. What this basically will do is it will impose a mandatory minimum sentence of 10 years to anybody who is caught committing a felony offense. And the verbiage in there is what's most concerning, because after it even passed 30-1 in the Texas Senate and now gone to the Texas House to be heard, for someone who actually uses a firearm or is exhibited. So that's the question. What exactly does used or exhibited mean if a judge finds that a firearm was used or exhibited? So to me, based off of the past legislation that's passed in the last Texas legislative session, which was the permitless carry bill, which gives everyone 21 and over the ability to get access to a firearm without having a license or any particular training. This was basically flooding the streets with guns, and now you're saying that you're going to give a 10-year mandatory minimum sentences. So if you know anything about mandatory minimum sentencing, historically that African Americans bear the brunt of these sentencings, basically because the prosecutors prosecute 60% more often against Black defendants when it comes to mandatory minimum sentence than they do whites. Also, Blacks spend more time in prison than whites for the exact same crime when it comes to mandatory minimum charges from prosecutors. So it gives prosecutors uninhibited power to do what they want, to become not only the judge, the jury, but the executioner as it relates to sentencing for African Americans and many others who are caught with again, a firearm where they used or exhibited a firearm with the committing a felony. You remember what happened in Florida with the young lady who went to jail on a mandatory minimum charge because she shot a warning shot in the air because of an abusive husband. So there's a lot to be concerned about with that one particularly.
Sure. Let's shift a little bit, as we know you're a member of the Black Newspaper Association. So in your opinion, what is the Black press doing to keep Black voters engaged, especially in this season that we're in right now?
Yeah, so, it's more than just voting and getting out to the vote. Of course, GOTV efforts are extremely important and need to continue, but it's also awareness, education. It's also being proactive, showing up to the state capitals, showing up at local, county, school board meetings, because there's so many things that directly impact you at a local level, not just the federal level. So many times we get caught up on the federal level conversations, whether it be president or some of these other higher level federal positions like senators, et cetera. But we have to pay attention to, the fact that this is a heavily a Republican controlled state now. It's trying to move into the purple direction, if not blue, and they're going to do any and everything in their power to try to hinder that movement. And so that's why with the statewide elections, the redistricting, the redrawing of the lines to try to make things a lot more favorable to electing Republican congressmen or state representatives or state senators is very, very important that the Black press continue to be on the front line, which we are, not only at the local levels of various cities, but also at the state level and the national level with Paper Publishers Association, which I'm a part of. We're constantly putting out content and encouraging people, not only nationally, but in their respective cities, in their counties, in their states, to pay attention to this legislation that could negatively impact you. One of the other bills, Bill 567, the Crown Act, just passed the Texas House overwhelmingly. Now to the Texas Senate to be heard. And so this is, of course, going to be a prohibition on natural hair discrimination, which came about because of two Black young men, who had AIDS in their hair, and they were denied the opportunity to graduate and walk on the stage, or they were forced into mandatory school suspension, in-house suspension. So these are very, very important bills that impact our day-to-day lives, and so it's important for us to stay on top of it. And I know the Black press is doing a great job of keeping the community informed. We just need to make sure everybody's reading the Black press.
That's why we have you here to remind us of the importance that the Black press has historically played and continues to play. Our thanks to Jeffrey Boney for joining us. Please come back again to Fox Soul's Black Report soon.
We appreciate your time.
Thank you.